Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome to our weekly market overview for the week with Anzu Capital. First off, we want to quickly go through the beginning of the process. Let's just start off with the risk disclaimer. You want to understand that when it comes to trading in the financial market, it does involve risk. So you want to ensure you're trading with risk capital only. And this information is for educational purposes only. My name is Nana Obin Alexander. I'm the head market analyst at Anzu Capital, and I'm a pro trader myself. And training is what I do. I've done this hundreds of times to thousands of people, and I'll be your host for this training. So today we're going to quickly look at some overview of this certain currency pair. So I kind of like what the Aussie CAD, the Aussie New Zealand, the EURUSD, which is a common one. So we're going to look at that. We're going to start off with actually looking at the dollar index and see exactly where what the dollar is up to and what we can expect from the dollar going forward into the week. We'll also look at the pound against the Swiss and also the euro against the Swiss because they look like they are setting up with some opportunity, right? And so I'm going to share this slide to my chat just about now. So we would just jump right into what we have for today and jump into the deep end. Okay. So as usual, if you see my screen, so as usual, now we're going to start up by looking at the dollar index, right? The reason I like the dollar index is not something I trade. It's a kind of like a basket that tracks the strength of the dollar against the major currency pairs. So like euro, pound, Swiss, Aussie. I like to, if we see strength in the dollar index, we're likely going to see dollar strength. If we see weakness in the dollar index, we're likely going to see dollar weakness. So I kind of like to use the dollar index as a base to kind of like see what to expect from the dollar. And so if you look at, okay, so this is the 4-hour chart. I'm going to go up to the 1-hour chart here, to the daily chart. So you could see that we have a steady strength in the dollar, like relatively over the past few weeks, right? We've had this weakened dollar where the dollar has been crumbling. So we have something like this. You could see how the dollar had been weak all through this region. So if I draw this trend line here, which kind of like signified the dollar weaknesses throughout last year and going into this year. So you could see how we are beginning to transit into a much more relatively stronger dollar, right? You could see, even though it's not moving by a lot, you could see that the overall direction of the dollar is quite bullish, right? Now, it doesn't mean, we should start buying all dollar pairs, but it kind of gives me an overview as to what to expect. So looking at current price, one thing I like to work with is my trend line. So if I were to connect this lows here, I'll probably have something like this. And so I can see, just looking at this, that we have this kind of in a relative uptrend, right? And yeah. Now, so throughout last week, we had the dollar rise. It was kind of like a mixed reaction. It would go up and then it would come down. And then let's see, if we go to the 4-hour chart here, you'd see that, we had this area here, which kind of acted as a good base of support, right? So you could see how this area here served to help price bounce up. You see when price got here, buyers stepped in, pushed it up. Again, price got here, buyers stepped in, pushed it up. Now, what we're looking at for this week is, this high here. If we see the dollar break above this level, we could see that area then, kind of like turn to support and help price move up. So if we do get a break above here, this could come back and serve as support, right? And bouncing and price back up. So essentially, the dollar looked relatively strong. Obviously, nothing is cast in stone yet because we could still have a situation where we have the dollar bounce up from here. We have this area could serve as resistance and price could reject this area and push back down to this missed pivot. So this is one thing I like to pay attention to is pivots, right? So you could see how this is a missed pivot where price usually like to come back to retest, so to balances out. So we could have price, reject this area, and if we have a weakened dollar, we could see price fall back down to kind of like find this pivot, maybe then find some supports to push it back up, right? So irrespective of what price do or what the dollar do, it would definitely have a lot to do with the Fed policy. The Feds are now becoming more hawkish with their tapering and their tightening of stimulus and all of those things. It's kind of making the dollar stronger. It's kind of turning investors to push money towards the dollar. So that could play out to the dollar strength. But we want to see how, based on the technicals, how that plays out. So now I have an outlook of what I'm expecting, of what I'm looking at in the dollar. And then I could carry that idea or that ideology into the currency pair. So let's start off with the most traded currency pair, which is the euro dollar. And then let's look at what the market is actually doing right here. So this is the price chart for euro dollar. Let's jump down straight up to the daily time frame because I like to work with that. You could see, so I was talking about this head and shoulder pattern last week, but that had not so far seemed to materialize. So if you look closely, this is the pattern. This is what I was looking out for. So an inverse head and shoulder, where this would be my left shoulder to neckline, then my head, not necessarily, not my head, but the head to neckline, and then somewhere around here, I was expecting price to do what? To form the right shoulder. And if and when that materializes, that could turn out to become a head and shoulder pattern with measured objective, where this would be my target up here around 21.35. Now, for that to happen, or for this pattern to be valid, right? For this pattern to be valid, price has to stay above. So let me just pull this. Price has to stay above the head, because once the right shoulder goes below the head, then it more or less negates this pattern, right? So this pattern is invalid the moment price closes below, or move, not necessarily closes, the moment price goes lower than the head. And so I have to more or less cancel my head and shoulder outlook. However, that doesn't necessarily mean cancel the entire bullish outlook of euro dollar. However, you remember, just like we looked on the euro dollar, on the dollar index, it kind of shows that we could see a strengthening dollar. So if that were to be the case, and we're supposed and the dollar turns out to be stronger, then what it means is euro dollar would fall, because except the euro relatively gets stronger as well. But if the dollar index shows strength, especially if Feds continue to be more hawkish as they've been since last week, we could see this go lower. Now, one thing you will want to have in mind is this: the fact that this head and shoulder, this potential head and shoulder, the low of this head here is actually the year-to-date low. So that's the low of the year, right? So this is the lowest price that price has gotten for the year. So this area could more or less serve as support, right? So I would continue to, this head and shoulder pattern, I'll continue to keep it on my chart or have it in my mind, as long as price does not go below this low. Now, that doesn't mean I will start buying, but my interest will turn bullish if we can get a break above this trend line. So you can see, so if I go to the 4-hour chart here, you could see how, let me just clean up this chart. If we go to this is the 4-hour chart. Let me just make more room on my chart to work. Okay. Sorry, just hold on. Okay, good. Now you could see how we have this more or less trend line, right? So I'm going to just take away this head and shoulder pattern. So you can see how we have this descending trend line, this downward trend line like this, where it has been serving as resistance, price bounce from here, bounce from here, bounce from here. So I would continue to be inclined to being bearish as long as price continues to stay below this trend line. Now, if we have a situation where price breaks above this trend line, then I will start becoming more bullish. So if price breaks above this trend line, we could see it retest it, and then nothing is preventing price. So once price comes on the right hand side of this trend line, there's really nothing stopping price from, going back to challenge the neckline of that potential head and shoulder pattern. Now, if price goes lower and takes out this previous low here, then I remove the head and shoulder outlook from my system or from my chart because it's invalid. But I would then be looking for maybe a break of this trend line here, which could serve as support. So this is looking like a potential double bottom. You could see how price came down here and then it's coming back down here. If price stays above this level, we could see the market break this area. However, I'm not going to be buying this until I see a confirmed break above this trend line, and then I could then be looking to start buying this all the way up, and then maybe look to play out the entire head and shoulder pattern. I hope that makes sense to you. So the next pair I want to also look at, let's go over to, is going to be the dollar, the pound dollar. Now, for those of you who have funded accounts with us, you should ensure that you don't miss out on my cutting edge trading room, where I do give out, where we kind of like trade together. So in this cutting edge trading room, if you have a funded account, speak to you, and you're not in the Telegram channel, cutting edge trading room Telegram channel, then talk to your account manager so that they can give you help, give you access to that. Because in that trading room, I do talk. I more or less give out trade signals that I trade on Wednesdays. We look at the market together. We look for opportunities together. I plan out my trades with you. Now, based on this is just general overview. So when I'm going to, if and when I do take a trade, or let's say on euro dollar or something like that, I would be informing members in the group. Now, pounds dollar is also another interesting one. Not necessarily interesting, but also one to pay attention to, as it is one of the more tradable currency pairs. Now, so we're looking like having something like a triple bottom. Now, similar to the euro dollar, right? We're looking at the year-to-date low. So this low, this price here, I'm going to just draw over it. So you could see this price here is the low of the year, right? And you could see how price, came down to here, it bounced off, and then you see how price came down to here, and it had this bullish engulfing candle. Now, if price continues to drift higher, well, we could see price come back and take out this area. And then if this is actually a triple bottom move, right? What that means is if we break above this area, we're going to have to move the measured objective of this length. So we could see price, go all the way up to 4,300, 1.4300 area. But that is a big if we do get a break above this resistance here. So, but looking at price so far, you could see we are bouncing up from the bottom. If you go to, let's go to the 4-hour charts. So we can see this trend line that I had drawn out here. So you can see we have more or less broken away from this trend line. And as long as we continue to stay above it, above this low here, there's really nothing stopping price from going back up. There's a missed pivot here. I really like to trade with pivot. I really like to target pivots and price pockets. You can see this is a missed pivot here. So ideally, we could see price try to gravitate its way up toward this area. And then, there's really nothing stopping it from getting to this high here. And, with the pound dollar being a mover, this move is something like 220 pips if and when it does play out. Personally, I am actually buying. I've actually been buying from this break here, but very small. I'm just looking to see how price reacts, and if price continues to stay constructive, continue to make higher highs and higher lows. So if I pull up my Fibonacci here like this, I want to see price go at least to the 618 extension of price, right? So it's going to be like A, B, C, D pattern, and then we'll see how the market does the next A, B, C, D leg, right? So that would be on pound dollar. AUDCAD is one I really like, right? So AUDCAD, it's not set up yet, but it's one I am looking at. So you could see my chart already. I have my patterns. So this is one pair I kind of like buying, right? And the reason is this. So if I zoom out, you could see how we've had this downtrend. You see, this is where price bounced away from this resistance. We had this resistance here. We also had it here and here. And this is where we had our breakout. So let me change this color. So this is where we had our breakout of the downtrend, right? So you could see how price has continued to stay low, make lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower low, right? Now with this breakout, price formed a new high. So you could see how this high, so let me just remove most of this. So you could see how this high here is higher than the previous high, which in turn is saying we are then breaking away from this downtrend. Now, the confirmation would be if price can make a new low, higher low. You know, in a downtrend, price will make lower low, lower high, you know, lower low, lower high. Now, in an uptrend, you want to see price make higher high, this would be a higher high, and then make a lower low. Now, as long as price stays above this previous low here, we're going to likely see price make a new high. And that is what I'm kind of like banking on. This is one trade that, you know, I'm going to try and swing for a while. You could see here, this is where my target is eventually. Now, this might take weeks to happen, but personally, I'm going to be looking to stay the course with confirmation. The confirmation would be when we see price break above this trend line. You know, price could break above this trend line and come back down. I would still be interested in buying this even at lower price to kind of take this market all the way up. This is kind of like the way I trade, and then how I talk to my guys in my training room. So personally, with where price is now, we're at currently around the 72.6, 81% retracement. There's no confirmation for buying here. However, confirmation would be if we're able to see price break above this trend line, and there's really nothing stopping us, because price is going to have to do one of two things this week, right? So remember, if price continues the downtrend, well, I'll find myself becoming a seller, right? I'm not going to try and force price to do anything, right? Even though I believe, well, we're looking at a potential change of trend where we could see the market come back and find this area here, or even as much as this area here, right? So, but if price doesn't want to do that, we're good and fine. I'd also be looking to take advantage of the sells. So basically, with this low here, I'm looking to see the market form a low here. And then once the market confirms that to the break of trend line, I'll be, you know, stacking up my positions as I look to trade the market all the way up back here. Right, so this is one very interesting. AUD New Zealand is also another one, but that is I'm not going to talk about that here, because that is one I'm going to specifically reserve for clients in the continent trading room on Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay, so I think I have one more pair to go before we call it a wrap. Now, that would be, so let me just clean up most of this drawings here. Okay, so pound Swiss, the pound Swiss is one pair to watch also. It's already on the move. So personally, I was actually long pound Swiss all the way back here, right? Actually all the way down here. So I added some position here, and I closed out my profit somewhere around this area here, right? And now I'm still looking to continue the bullish move, because you could see the market has been ranging, and then the market's kind of like the Wyckoff's distribution, where we have this, let me just take this away. So where we have this kind of system where price has been ranging within this area here, like this. You see how price has been ranging within this zone here. And then what then happened is the market broke below and then went above. So this is kind of like the market has been ranging within this area. Then we have this false break, which is then followed by an immediate move to the top, right? And then, you know, I'm essentially looking for this market to break this area here, and then we could continue to move to this area here. Now that is the plan. And, you know, we're not profits, but that is how I plan to trade the market, right? So when I took profit here, I'm looking to pull back to enter the market. I actually did start buying down around here. And the goal is to see this market continue to stay above this area here. And if that happens, there's really nothing stopping price from coming up here. So when price gets to this area, I'll be looking to see maybe I should protect my profits, or maybe just hold on and see if we get a break of this area to move to my overall targets, which is up here. So this is the plan on pound squeeze from where price is. Remember, if you're looking to trade this, you want to remember what's ideally, if you're using a stop loss, your stop loss should be below this area. So you want to know what that is, if it's something you're comfortable dealing with, because in trading, it's not just about what you're looking to make, is are you comfortable if you are wrong? So this would be a 200 and there about 250, 260 pips if you're wrong. And so if you're looking to buy here now, well, you want to be aware of that. Now, for those in my cutting edge trading room, I'll probably talk about how to maybe day trade this. We look for missed pivots and look for buying opportunities around just short-term trading, because if you were not buying down here as I am, the risk to reward is not as nice as I'd like to have it. So you could just look to trade this range. You could see this is resistance or support now. Maybe price come back down to this area, you look for buying opportunities, keep your stop loss tight, probably target this backside of the trend line, or maybe even this resistance area up here. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And finally, we're going to look at EURUSD. So the EURUSD is also one last one we're going to discuss. And so you could see my plan, right, which has always been the plan. The market has been in a downtrend. You know, this particular one was one of my nice payers for, I think, past 2 weeks, because I was buying all this area. You know, I was buying from here. I bought some others here. And when price started to move, I had, you know, stacked positions. And then I ended up cashing out over, I think, something like 700 pips from this whole move to the top, right? Now, I've closed all those positions and I'm looking to reload and get backing. So the idea is this: downtrend, higher lows, sorry, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, you know, lower high, lower low, and then higher high, right? Not just the higher high, but the higher high that breaks this trend line. You could see how this was resistant, 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 false break, also resistance. And now we have this break here. And then ideally, I want to see the market make a higher low, which, you know, low, higher low. You can see where I have my rectangle here. This is the area I was actually looking to buy. You know, I'm still looking to see price come back down, possibly, and then I could, you know, start buying the market up. My target should come all the way up here. Now, this would be a longer term trade. You know, I don't mind holding these positions for a month or several few weeks, 6 weeks or so, if the setup is right. But that is my idea on this pair. I'd also be talking about this pair, all of the currency pairs I'm looking to trade in my trading room as well. But that is the pattern I'm looking to. So for this week, if price breaks above this level here, if price breaks above this level here, we could see it serve as support and price might bounce. We can also see this area here serve as resistance and price fall back down. And if that happens, that'll be fine. I'll be looking to buy the market all the way up here. If it breaks above here, I'll be looking to buy it all the way up here. If it breaks, you know, that is essentially the plan on the trade. You know, it's all about planning your trades and then trading your plan. Okay, so that'll be all for me, guys. I hope you did enjoy the class. If you have questions, now it's the time to let me know your questions. I'll be stopping the recording now. Okay, if you have questions, just let me know your questions. First of all, I hope you enjoyed the training as well.